Once there, everything comes through. I've heard of such a dreamy place. Do you think my broken wings will heal? Hope so, 'cause I can't fly well. I wonder if this rain will stop one day. Someone's been crying all along. No worries, there's only one road, so I can't get lost. All I have to do is walk. Placed by the name of heaven, the promised land. Everyone is awaiting in a very long line. Placed by the name of heaven, there's a comforting light. I don't hesitate, just be guided. I wonder how far I have come, and what have I ever done? Alright, well, I'm sure I'll be there soon. All I have to do is walk. Placed by the name of heaven, the promised land. I wonder what was waiting for me. Placed by the name of heaven, there's a comfort in that. I don't hesitate, just be guided. I haven't talked to my heart for a long time. When did I stop flying? Is it the wings that are placed by the name of heaven, the promised land? Can I find myself again in that life? Placed by the name of heaven, there's a comfort in that. Freedom in my hands means that I can get by the name of heaven. Wings, I'm sorry, I miscalculated, but I should have known. The name of heaven, I can get out of line now. Freedom in my hands means that I can get more freedom. In my hands means that I can get lost.
Oh, I'm fucking coming.
Hello. Hello, Kalu Kalay. How are we doing today? My name is Notepad, and I write games for fun. And we finished Bastard Bonds last time. Yes, we did. Bastard Bonds is done. We got both endings. Iroh's journey has come to a heroic end, and all is good in the world. Life happened. We conquered Lukat. We conquered Lukat, and then we successfully did a bunch of other things. We got a lot of scenes, Finnabus. Of course, the last time we will see Bara Manley. Sorry, everybody. But Bara Manley will most likely be retired. But, yes, we finished Bastard Bonds. I kind of wanted to talk about Bastard Bonds a little bit. I want to talk about Bastard Bonds for a few reasons. Mostly because I like talking about games. I like talking about games I enjoy. And I think, as any measure of, like, good critique or anything like that, you should really try to find faults and find things that you maybe are critical of, things that you enjoy. Find critique. Look at things that you think could be better, even if something you love, and try to find the good in things you might not like. It's Jover for you. I've exposed your name to Russians and Argentinians. Your website's GDP is about to go down the fucking drain. Good. I'm fucking ready. I'm so ready. You have no idea. Come on. You say like, oh, I've exposed your name to the Russians and the Argentinians. Oh, but here's the secret, Sterner. They already know me. Half my server's Eastern European and the other half is Latin American. Use your version of the D20 system. No, actually, I'm not doing that because Bastard Bonds actually has some math up behind it. I want to talk about Bastard Bonds for a bit. I want to talk about things I like about the game, things I don't like about the game, because I like talking about things I enjoy. Like I want everyone to talk about things. Now, I did this previously with like a full-on like actual PowerPoint presentation for Yick. I had a full PowerPoint presentation ready for Yick because I wanted to talk about Yick. Because I find Yick to be one of the most fascinating games ever. From just a technical, from a story perspective, I find a lot of things interesting with Yick. Bastard Bonds is also very interesting, but where I found nothing but complete hatred of Yick, I actually found a lot of things I love about Bastard Bonds. Things I love about this world, about these people, about these things. How important is the bear stuff to the TTRPG? It is mandatory. I mean, if we're not here, if you are not playing your character as a literal brick shit house of a man, you know, full of hair and ready to go, I mean, what's the fucking point? But like, generally speaking, I like Bastard Bonds for a few reasons. I like the gameplay. Generally speaking. Gameplay is fun. I enjoy the strategy aspect of the game. People say like, oh, Bastard Bonds is really hard and things. It's not really hard once you know how the game works. We'll get to that in a bit. I like how the game plays. I love the idea of, you know, kind of the pass system. Kind of the idea of like, oh, well, if you're rushing something, you get to kind of keep going on your turn, but you keep risking. I really like that. I think that's a really fun mechanic. You have a very restrictive party, but everyone kind of can do everything you want them to do. It's a very fun and exciting game. I like the writing of Bastard Bonds. That's a weird thing. People will say like, oh, this is a gay game just for, you know, gay sex, ha ha ha. But no, the writing is actually really good. And I kind of kept talking about this throughout the streams. But Bastard Bonds does a really good job of making you out to not really be like this superhero. You're just a dude. And a lot of the people you surround yourself with are just dudes. They're just people. And those people are doing things. It's like, yeah, what is Grieve? Grieve is not a superhero, he's a guard. Hey, what is Bato? Bato's just a poacher. That's all he is, he's just a poacher. Or it's like, hey, what is Nazar? Nazar's just a guy. Like, a lot of the stuff with Bastard Bonds and the characters are very grounded. Even little things about it, like just how Orc Society works, how Crest works, how Lucat used to be. The fact that they keep talking about these old characters, and you get invested in them. Yes, it's like, what happened to Spartil? You don't know what happened to Spartil until the very end of the game, where you find his body. You don't really know what's going on with other characters until the very end there. And it's like, oh, what happened to Queen Glamig? Well, Queen Glamig died because people fucking hated her. And it's like, oh, well, that brings in people like Beauregard, that brings in a bunch of other characters. I like every single character in Bastard Bonds because the writing of the characters are really good, which I'll kind of bring up here. Characters are really, really fucking good. So game is fun, writing is fun, gameplay, kind of the characters are a lot of fun. You got some characters that are kind of stinker. I wouldn't say stinkers, but like, generally speaking, though, those are also like the big three things where you can actually talk about things that I don't like about the game. So we'll start from the top. I like the game. There's two issues with the gameplay for Bastard Bonds. There's two very important issues. Anytime you want to go into Bastard Bonds, there's two things you always have to remember. Game doesn't tell you shit. That is one thing that is very frustrating. The game will not tell you anything. What does physical actually do? Well, you can assume that physical means your ability to do damage, but then you don't really see much damage improving if you equip like a physical 100 ability, physical 40 weapon. Like, what does that mean? It doesn't tell you anything about that very well. It doesn't really tell you what crit means. It doesn't tell you what a bunch of these things mean, and there's no math behind things. That's one thing that's very fascinating about the game. It doesn't really tell you a lot of when it comes to like mathematics or anything. You actually have to look at wikis, you have to look at the guidebooks, you have to look at things to actually understand it, which, to give you an idea, not Twitch. What really clicked a lot of the math together for me was, this is Jeremy Walker. This is actually the guy who actually made Bastard Bonds. Yes, this is the actual creator of Bastard Bonds. This is quite literally the entire system. I'm not lying, this is how the system actually functions. Everything you do is building up a value of some sort. Everything is building up a value. And if you are over that value, or if you are within 90 to 110%, you just roll 1d10. That's all that's going to happen. You roll 1d10. And that's going to determine your outcome. Hey, if you're superior, you're going, otherwise known as you're within 110% to 200% of that, your opponent, you're going to roll 2d10, take the highest. You're going to do 3d10 and take the highest, 4d10, take the highest. And then on the other side, it's going to be 2d10, 3d10, 4d10, take the lowest. So when it says physical 40, all you're doing is adding 40 to your fight score. That's really all you're doing. Doesn't seem like a lot, but in that game, that is a lot. That is actually quite a bit. So it's like, okay, I see what the math is. I see where the math is going. They don't tell you this shit. They don't tell you any of this. They're very bad at giving you input with things. I'd say the other thing is, how do I want to word this? Scaling is really bad. Like, normally when you talk about, like getting better at a game or something, normally you say challenges start relatively easy, they get a little bit harder, they get a little bit harder, they get a lot harder. There's a clear ramp, if you could say. Things go from, everything is, easy, medium, kind of easy, medium, hard, very hard, end. It's kind of like, it's a ramp up of difficulty. The enemy you encounter when you first start is clearly not going to be the same enemy you encounter at the end of the game. However, Bastard Bonds kind of does that, kind of doesn't. Because what happens is every single character, every single entity on Lukat actually plays by the same rules. And by what I mean by they play by the same rules, they use the same thing right here. They use the same 3x3 grid for everything. Every single entity you encounter in the game, because you can recruit a vast majority of them, use the attack, defense, utility, force, guile, magic grid. That's all they do. And all the majority of things actually is force, guile, magic, times, attack, defense, or utility. That's all that's determining your abilities. you want to learn how to do any of these things, this is actually how you do it. And it's like, oh, that doesn't make any sense. Like, that's a little funky. And the answer is yes, it is a little funky. Oh, right there. Feel it. I'm scratching my back. It feels really good. Ugh. Oh, God. So it's kind of like, but the problem is, there's this weird bit in the game when it comes to scaling and how enemies go. You develop pretty well even. You get stronger gradually. The enemies have this weird tendency where, like, early game, they're more than a match for you. Like, a good fight, like, you actually are, like, trying to plan around enemies a lot more. Things are a lot smaller. You're trying to get the choke points. And every weapon really does mean something. By mid-game, it's kind of weird that, like, mid to, like, late mid or early late game, the enemies don't scale very well. They literally cannot hurt you at certain points if you build your characters remotely correctly. And if you do that, you are really tough and you are really difficult to kill, and they can't hit you very well because they invest everything into fucking guard or dodge. And, like, if you recruit an enemy at that kind of that mid to late, kind of middle to, like, late middle game, you'll realize all of them have invested points into, like, guard. A lot of them have put things into, like, really weird attributes, or they've gotten just enough to use, like, blast and nothing else. It's God, I'm still a little bit plugged up here. So it ironically gets easier till about, like, late game when you hit like level 25, level 26, where the game gets really hard again because every enemy has a shit ton of hunt all of a sudden and can crit you and can fight you really well, and they're hitting you like a freight train. And it's like, oh, well, you didn't prepare. If you didn't prepare enough, you're going to get fucked because, like, no armor can beat that scaling. So the scaling is kind of all over the place. It gets a little bit funky, but it's just because everything obeys this little grid here. I will also say the AI is not the best, because the AI has zombie AI. Yeah, you may be wondering, what do you mean zombie AI, Notepad? What do you mean? If you've ever want to know why a vast majority of, like, those survival games, like, all of them decide that they want to just have the enemies rush the player, it's because that AI is very simple. All that occurs with those games, all that occurs is enemy, if you are within sight of the enemy or you are within detection radius, they will run toward you. Doesn't matter how, they will just run directly towards you. Bastard Bonds uses the exact same way of doing things. If there is an ally who is close and there is an ally who is farther away, they will attack the closer one. They will literally just count hexes and they will find you. If there are more than one within the same area, they'll just roll randomly and they'll attack a random one. I think there's also, like, if you have a different threat value, you can do it, but certain armors, like, that's kind of a rare thing to generate threat. But, like, generally speaking, they're going to be like, oh, we want to attack that person. Not necessarily if they are without rage or anything. This does mean that you are encouraged to have a tank character. And by a tank character, I mean you have one character who is just a brick shithouse and can soak a lot of damage and just sits there. They may not do a lot of damage, or they may do a shit ton, who knows. They just soak and eat a lot of damage, and suddenly it's like, oh, well, I have, like, you probably all kind of saw my usual setup when I was playing, which was just a firing line. Usually with someone like Grieve or, Grieve, Nazar, any number of those other guys kind of standing in front of everybody, soaking up all the damage. That's kind of one of those issues where it's like, because the AI is like that, it's hard to be like, well, we're going to be we could do more complex. You can't. And so the game tries to put you more into more compromising situations. It's, well, the enemies aren't attacking you directly, it's you're surrounded now. And because you're surrounded, the AI can now compensate for it. Hey, because you turn a corner and there's one guy just into the room you couldn't really see before, but you moved in there and now that's where the fight is. That's kind of like one of those weird things with it. I can talk about little other gameplay, little nitpicks when it comes to the gameplay. Mostly speaking, the issue is they don't tell you a lot of information about things, and they don't scale well, and sometimes the AI can be really exploitable. So that late game can be very easy if you want it to be. Even the fight against like Leviathan, you all saw probably if you were watching, that the Leviathan fight was over in like 5 seconds. Because we could nuke Leviathan. Because Leviathan doesn't actually have that much, isn't really that strong. But you can burst around and just murk Leviathan. You can murk the final boss super easy if you just have firepower. That's what I had. I had firepower. And if you are competent enough and you have the right weapons, you can just blast him into infinity, and there's nothing he can do. I found that kind of interesting. Oh, God. Now, we're going to get to the writing. I like the writing. Now, there's 2 reasons I like the writing. Bastard Ball. There's 2 very important. I like the writing because of what they do tell you and what they don't tell you. I like the fact that they don't tell you actually a whole lot about the greater world. You're kind of left to infer things. You know that Crest is corrupt. You know that right off the bat. Crest is a corrupt shithole. Almost every single character you come across, when you bond with them, they will say, I was sent to Lukat not because I was a bad person, but because I was something. I was sent to Lukat because I don't have, because I was a poacher. Like, yeah, you clearly committed a crime, but hey, I committed a... I was a good person, but I did this. A lot of the people who are chaotic, when they explain to you their backstory, it's like, I was a bad person, but I got sent here kind of on bullshit charges. Or the people who are good were like, I am a good person, I got sent here on kind of fraudulent charges. But then you get people like Greening, who Greening did commit a crime, technically. His crime was justified. Like, hey, people thought you committed conspiracy. He's not a bad person, he's just in a shitty situation. I like that. Bato committed a crime. There was nothing wrong. Bato committed a crime. He was poaching. And because he was poaching, he got sent there. He's just a dude. I like that idea behind a lot of the writing. Like the idea that a lot of characters are there pretty normally. You get some more exotic characters. You can get a lot more exotic characters, like Grant, who was born on the island. You can get characters like, you can get a lot more. You can get people like Lefty, who Lefty is effectively a bastard, and like a true honest-to-God bastard. He's a bad person. He kind of embraces it, but then you kind of learn about him a little bit more, and it's like, he's not really that bad. He's kind of a nice guy, all things considering. He's just a guy in a situation. He is a guy in a bad situation. And I think one of the issues with the writing, and kind of goes into with the characters a little bit, you don't get a lot of it. You can complete the entire game. The thing is, you can complete the entirety, mind you, the entirety of Bastard Bonds without really knowing what the hell is going on. That was my first run through. I really wasn't paying attention to any of the books. I kind of paid attention to exactly what I needed and very little else. I rushed through things, I went in there, didn't even bother with the demon shit, not my jam, didn't really care, blasted a Leviathan and left. But the weird thing with it is that I actually went to more places my first run through, because there were entire maps we didn't even cover. There were entire sections of that game that were not covered at all. Simply because you don't need to. There are very few places you actually need to visit. And one of the few reasons to actually explore the island, one of the actual major reasons, is because you need 20 people to join you to get to Act 2. I take offense to you naming my game the Anthem RPG. I'm like, yeah, it's like Anthem. But it's like, you need 20 people. That is insane. I don't believe there are 20 unique characters. Well, I think there's about 20 characters. Like, unique characters anyway. Let me actually do Bastard Bonds unique character. Let's actually see our unique companions. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's see what 3, 7, 14, 21. There are exactly 21 unique companions. However, of these unique companions, let's go through all of them. Bato you can get for free. You get Bato real early on. Beauregard has an entire quest chain to get him. This is, post Act 1. Borgina, you can get her early. Like, you can get her pretty early on. But there is there's a thing you can actually do. Bryn, you can get him relatively early on, but he is also restricted. Captain Logas, you need to actually beat, post Act 2. You need to beat Act 2 for that. Grant, you can get him early. He's restricted, though. And what I mean by restricted is you cannot have Bryn, Bryn, I call him Bryn. You can't have Bryn and Grant in the same party. You go for Grant early on, you get Grant. You get Bryn early, you get Bryn. You can't get both of them, though. So they kind of knock each other out a little bit. Grieve. You can get Grieve very early on. However, he might also be restricted. Actually, he is, possible to lose. Like, he is possible to lose him. Greening. You kind of gotta beat post Act 1. You gotta kind of beat Act 1. Carrillo. You can get him early, but he is possible to lose. You fuck up that early thing, it's possible to lose him. Technically, you can get him in Act 2. It's just hard to get him in Act 2 because you have to go all the way to a pretty much secondary area that you may not know about. It might take you a lot more time to go actually back there to get it. And it's like, oh, okay. And then Moria. The fuck is even Moria? I know her. Yeah. Like, I think she's yeah, you could just oh, here's Moria. You can pick her. I believe you could pick her up fairly early. I never did because I don't care. I didn't care. She was yeah, she might rescue you. She might not. She's a murderer. That's all we know. Nazar is you can get him pretty early on, but he's also restricted. Paul is, you can get him pretty early as well. Peregrine, you kind of need to beat post Act 1 to get him, to have a chance of getting him. Then you have things like Rangda. Rangda's early but restricted as well. You cannot get Nazar and Rangda in the same party. If you get Nazar, you can no longer get Rangda. If you get Rangda, you can no longer get Nazar. They do not get really possible with each other. So Rosaline is pretty much post Act 1. Shapiro, technically you can get him post Act 1, but he's mostly kind of in that post Act 2 sense. Let's also kind of put Rosaline as there as well. You can get her later if you want. I'd say post Act 1 you can relatively get her. Vankin has a quest chain tied to him. You need to help him get something, and it takes time to get Vankin to join you. Wazaka, if I remember correctly, you can get him post Act 1 relatively easily, and Zantanak is actually interesting. He's early but very restricted. There is actually only one way to get Zantanak. You have to play male diction. You have to play a very certain bastard. And if you don't play that certain character, you won't get him. You won't. Like, you might have to fight Borgia. That's why she's actually restricted. If you play a male Dictus, you will not actually get Borgina. Like, you will not actually recruit her. She will fight you right off the bat. And that's very interesting. So, if you really look at it, you only have about, like, maybe, if you're lucky. Like, let's just do our characters that we had. So we had Beauregard, we had Borflagor, we had Borgina. Bryn, we lost Bryn. We had Grant, we got Greening, we lost Carrillo. We never picked up Lefty. We never picked up Moria. Peregrine, we couldn't pick up Rangda. We never actually got to Shapiro. I kept thinking about going to Shapiro. I never thought about it. We couldn't get Wasaka. We didn't get Zantanak. And I went out of my way to recruit people, mind you. So one of the things is you're going to have to pick generic characters up. It's either 21 unique companions. Like, you're going to have to pick the generic characters. And the generic characters suck. That's like it's funny. See, it's one of those funny things. Like, the generic characters are fun to play, but you don't really get a reward for using them at all. If you noticed, by the way, with my band at the end, we actually got Zyda's Bond. We actually got Zyda's Bond. We actually got a Sphinx Bond. We got one. We got it. But nothing happened with it. It was irrelevant to the situation. It was completely irrelevant. Because it didn't matter. You may be like, well, what do you mean by that? It didn't matter that I got it. All that mattered was that I got it, and because how do I want to word this? I got it because I did enough things with her, but it didn't matter at all. I didn't get a special ending with her. She didn't get a line of dialogue or anything. It was kind of irrelevant. And it sucks because, again, it's bastard bonds. You want to form bonds with characters. And I like the character writing. I like the interactions with one another. I like the fact that Peregrine and Captain Logus have weird gay sex. I think it's cool. I think it's a good piece of writing. The generic characters don't get that. And that was like the funny thing going through my first run through with Chaticus. Chaticus was my first character. He was a big brick shit house. That's all he was. I thought he was funny. One of the things was I got bonds with a lot of the side characters. I didn't get them with with like some of the more unique companions because I just didn't care about them as much. I cared about Almar. I cared about like my final squad going into it was Lefty, a fucking Yeti named Kostia, who was a brick shithouse, by the way, and Alamar, who was a slaver I picked up at the very first, pretty much one of the very first maps you can come across. I picked him up, and Alamar was with me the entire game. He was my number 2, baby. He was my first bond. I got him before my rescuer, which was Lefty. Lefty kept dying because Lefty has no health. But that's kind of like, I wish we got more interaction with more particular character. I think that's kind of like one of my big things with it, is I like the more particular character interactions rather than here's a bunch of generic characters you don't care about as much and you don't really get the chance to engage with. I do like, however, that's the thing, like I do like the characters that are there. Enjoy them, and I want to learn more about them. Problem is I don't get to engage with them as much. That's kind of my distinctive opinion. So, that is my 30-minute roundup on fucking Bastard Bond. I like the game. It is flawed, but I like it. Should you buy Bastard Bonds? Of course you should. It's very good. A lot of fun. You can probably beat the game faster than me. You could probably beat the game a lot slower than me and explore a lot more and have your very own party of characters that you love. You can do all the things that you want. It's a fun game for the whole... Well, it's a lot of gay sex, though. There's a lot of gay sex. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, you don't come here for me to wax philosophically about video games. You come here for me to talk about good old-fashioned, well... Well, you come to me to talk about tabletop game. Sorry about bringing this, but thank you for the tips, Notepad. For death, yeah, people are supposed to die a lot. Playtest ended with 9 angels dead for 4 players. While 3 Psy was nerfed heavily in Draft 2 because Draft 1, the Psy character broke the game. I may have gone a bit too far and need to review the math. We come see you ramble we come to see you ramble philosophically about video games. Yeah, that was one thing I noticed about Archangels. Is that, how do I want to word it? You need to very quickly establish characters are going to die. And you need to make sure that, A, players don't get invested in their character. It's kind of a weird thing, because, like, I don't want to do that. You present it as being, like, you're super cool badasses. You're super cool, awesome badasses who are super awesome and amazing and cool and everyone likes you. You're gonna die immediately. And it's like, that feels weird. That feels very weird. And it's kind of like what you're presenting and what you're saying feels very different. That makes any remote amount of sense. That's why I'm thinking, like, maybe have something for dying. Like, if you do manage to get up to a higher tier, you are kind of more valuable. But, like, yeah, getting past that is a little bit harder. And it's like, yeah, you die, you get you're getting something out of this. Like, hey, every character that dies, the next character gets a bonus to an attribute or something. Because, like, again, right now it's like, why would you ever invest any thought or idea into a character? What's happening? For the last 30 minutes, I waxed philosophically about Bastard Bonds and why I really like Bastard Bonds. And now we're gonna write the basic preliminary work for the unofficial tabletop game. Because Garamy here made a critical error in his life and gave me the math. So, generally speaking, the math is a little interesting for Bastard Bonds. And I'm gonna do my best to write this out for everyone so people kind of understand what the hell I'm talking about. Oh god. It is just very muggy in my room right now. So I'm kind of dying here a little bit. Generally speaking, Bastard Bonds works on a 9 by pretty much a 3x3 grid. And it's fight, hunt, what's it called? Magic, guard, dodge, ward, labore, thwart, the thwart, weave. These are the big things. These are your fighty attributes, these are your guardy attributes, these are your utility attributes. This is magic, this is, I believe they call it guile. I believe they call it. guile, and force. Generally speaking, how an actual thing in Bastard Bonds works is, let's say I have a fight of 10, you have a guard of 10. We are both going to roll I'm going to roll 1d10 and try to get a value. Effectively, that's how it works. However, let's say my fight is 20, your guard is 10. I am double your value. I am 200%. You kind of, see right there. I am superior to you. I am better than you. So what I get to do, check my math right here. I get to now roll 2d10, take highest to get a value. Let's say my fight is only 10, your guard is 20. What's going to happen is going to be 2d10, take lowest to get a value. That is the basic of how Bastard Bonds actually works. So, the main core resolution for the unofficial Bastard Bonds tabletop role-playing game experience, what I wrote down here in my awesome notes, because I wrote notes for this, by the way. So, the core basic resolution is going to be that. However, we're going to have this right here, and I'm going to put this right here. This isn't final, this is kind of just like debatey notes. Is, if we want to do, let me just double check, we want to do our non-combat is one is a failure. 2 to 5 is a costly success. 6 to 9 is a success, and 10 is a critical success. That is how it works. Now, on the other hand, for combat's a little different. Combat's a little bit different. We have a miss, scratch, hit, god damn it, try to click, critical hit. That is the absolute basic of what the game is going to be. It seems a little bit odd, but bear with me. He gave you the math? Oh god, it's the man Musk. Damn straight. He gave me the math. Now, I have two ways of doing that. Now, this is where things start getting a little bit wonky on my various mathematical autism. There is effectively two ways to do this, to determine what this is. Because a majority of things are going to be magic versus ward, hunt versus dodge, fight versus guard. What does fight mean? Fight means I'm going to bash your skull in with a hammer. You're going to be guarding it. Hey, hunt effectively means what I would probably word hunt to be, because what it actually is, if you succeed at your fight, you then check your hunt to see if you crit. What I would probably do is fight is more physical, hunt is more ranged weapons and throwing weapons and more kind of like finesse weapons. Magic is magic. Guard's gonna be able to fight you. That's kind of the idea. You can't guard, you're not parrying or anything an arrow. You're trying to dodge an arrow or something like that, where dodge kind of comes in. The thing is, there's two ways of doing this. And because I'm going to do the two ways that I thought about doing things are very unique from one another. Change the color here a little bit. Yes, you can actually change the color. I know people were saying like I never changed the color or anything. So yeah, you can actually change the color. There is effectively there's the true method, and there is the simple method. Now, the true method is effectively how it works in the game. So, let's say, for example, I have my fight. You know, I've got all these things to worry about. Let's say I have 5 fight. I have 5 fight. I have 5 fight, 5 hunt, and 2 guard. 5 fight, 5 hunt, 2 guard. How this is actually looking is not this. This does not fundamentally work. What I'm doing is that there is the mythical force button up here. Actually, there, but it would be the force. Trying to. Guile. Magic. Attack, defense, ability. Attack, defense, agility. Now, what a 5 fight, 5 hunt actually means is that I have placed 5 points into attack, I've placed 5 points into force, and I've placed 5 points into force. However, I have 2 guard here. So now my force has gone up to 7, my defense has gone up to 2. Because I've just put more points into that category. Technically, if we want to be really specific, everything starts at 1. So technically, like this. Trying to be as specific as possible here. Bear with me. So, as you can kind of see here, the current look of me just dumping 5 points into something. I've dumped a grand total of 7 points into things. What this is 8 times 3. That's 14. That would be 18, 16. That'd be 24. 24 guard. And my attack would be, if I can fucking do my math, because I can't, because I'm stupid, would be 48 fight. But what happens is, in my hunt, I now have a 6. In my magic, I have a 6. In my dodge, I have a 3. My dodge, I have a 3. In my ward, I have a 3. Effectively, what you're doing is you're placing points inside of either kind of like along this track effectively. This is what the true way of doing things would look like. You are putting points into fight. You're not putting points into fight necessarily. You're putting points into force and attack by putting a point into fight. This works really, really well. This is the problem. This math is really, really good. And you may be wondering, Notepad, this seems insane. And the answer is yes, it is a little bit insane. But bear with me. Because now we've gotten to this point, like this very basic idea. We've got, 5 points into 5 points into the attack category. We've got 2 points into the defense category. We got 7 points in the force category. Oh, okay, that's a lot of points all of a sudden. It's the thing is, the actual parity system that's been promoted here, this is built with this in mind. Now, my simple method was using a lot smaller numbers. So let's kind of assume like the same basic idea. Having a 5 of fight, what I would be able to do is you can assign a pretty much 2-point blocks to everything in fight. So I have fight here. I put 3 quote-unquote points into fight. And then anyone that is across or under, you get to assign a 1. You get to assign 1 for each. So I can say I have 2 guard, 1 labor, and I have 1 hunt and 2 magic. And I have 2 magic. Because I put 3 points in the fight, I can distribute them a little bit different. Now, what's my dodge? 0. What's my ward? 0. What's my weave? 0. That's where the simple math starts breaking down a little. Because it's very easy to get a 0. It's a lot harder to get 0 in the... I got a little lifeline. It's a lot harder to get a 0. It's actually not technically possible to get a 0 in the true method. Problem is, the true method is a lot of multiplication. It's a lot of math, and things can get very big. You know, that parity does change quite dramatically, if that makes sense. The parity changes. Instead of being like, hey, you're within 50% of, you know, like, hey, my fight is double your guard, therefore I get to roll 2d10 and take the highest, and you know, cool. It's, hey, my fight is 3 times higher than your guard. That is, what do I do with that now? Well, I'm going to be able to absolutely smorgasbord fuck your day up. However, the math is a lot easier. How about if you do the same thing, but add instead of multiplying? That could work, kind of more focusing on these categories. The thing is, how do I want to word it? Because even if we do that, if I take this, we just put it like right over here, all this gorblet. Let's just do some check, because like these are just the 2 methods I immediately saw. So let's say technically this would be 9, or this would be 2. I don't know why I keep, and I wish. So this would be 3, so this would be 4. This would be 8 plus 3, which would be a total of... I'm having a stroke, please God send help. 11. Yeah, I'm getting tired, kids. Let's see, 14, 7. So the core concepts stay the same. Core concept stays the same. I could see some issues happening here. I would keep the math down though. Maybe that's alright. I'll think on that. That's a good idea, actually. 11, dude. Hey, it's late. I had to do a Pathfinder 2nd edition game today. Cut me some slack. Yeah, like that would be... This is the hardest part, to be perfectly honest. This is the complicated part. Is just kind of getting this math to work correctly, because generally speaking, there isn't like the be-all end-all of math, because you can make an argument for all of them. Because like the core idea of like combat, for example, like what would a basic combat? Because this would be a combat game at its absolute, you know, most basic. All it would be is a MHY mag plus mag bonus plus combat plus 1d10. That would be like a basic hit. So let's say, for example, like here, we would need to find a way to do this. We would need to find a way to actually recalculate the damage, because the damage isn't quite right, if that makes sense. Like, let me see if I can find. Let me see if I can find the. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's hard to find like the. I don't really know the math behind. I mean, you'll have to rework. Oh, PF is draining on Brown. Oh yeah, no, it was a talkie shoppy session today, so it was a lot of like, oh, okay, let's do this. I like talkie shoppy sessions sometimes. Other times they drain my mind a little bit. Yeah, it's things like this. I know I'm gonna have to rework some math things, just because that's the nature of the beast, effectively. Let me see. Do I have it in this one? I might put it in the wrong notebook. I have many notebooks. Like, there are many notebooks. I have lost all sense of right or wrong in my. Oh. Oh, that's. There we go. Everything's breaking for me. I can't have nice things. Yeah, pretty much like the idea of like, if you scratch, pretty much, if you don't do very well, you're going to lose like a lot of your bonuses. It's just going to be like, oh, you're just rolling D10. That's why scratching is bad. Like, you're just going to roll a D10, where it's like, you're going to do damage, but maybe not nearly as much. You know, that's kind of like the idea of like, you know, kind of like scratching, hitting. If you critical hit, you're just going to double everything. You double whatever your roll is, just so you can get those really explosive critical hits, but they're fairly rare, which is, you know, kind of 1 in 10, but if they guard isn't as good. The thing is, even if you are not rolling well, even if you roll like 3d10, let's take 3d10 and like take the lowest. It's 3d10 to take the lowest. I would miss here because I rolled a 1. Let me re-roll to roll something decent. I got a 10 and 2 9s, so I hit. I would still do damage to you, even if even if I am not doing very well, I still would have hit you. You have a 10% chance per die to miss, where it's a lot more likely when you are, it's a lot more likely for you to roll a miss, but not possible for you not to. That's why I'm like, scratches just don't really do much. And taking damage is going to happen. You're going to take some damage. But generally speaking, I don't think making this game would be hard. Because they go out of their way and say humans and orcs are very similar. None of them really have anything like that. The hardest part would be if we go to, you get Bastard Bonds here, and we, let me see, do we have... Negotiation, not magic. Like, even magic is really simple to actually deal with. Like, that's kind of funny. Like, yeah, intrinsic. You get a lot of these like intrinsic skills, but you can really break a lot of these down into, hey, you are like you entreat these almost like feats. That would be my big thing, is you can treat these like feats. Hey, you have allure. Allure is a feat you took. You have frugal. This is a feat you took. You have heartless. This is a feat you took. That's kind of the idea. How do you feel about settings / game that are magically mundane? For example, I am the accountant for the Demon Lord. Fun for manga. I've seen it done for like manga and stuff every now and again. I think they're fun. You need a, how do I want to word it? It'll take 34 levels plus all 10 starting points to attain all 6 pips in one stat. Yeah, welcome to yeah, this is actually how the magic works, which, mind you, we will have to learn the magic system in its entirety. It's, yeah, like kind of like the magically mundane stuff. It can be fun, or you can get into like the really, really, really annoying ones where it's like, I am the Demon Lord's accountant, but I'm super intelligent and I'm the only one who's ever learned accounting ever in the history of mankind. There was one I read being like, congratulations, you've been isekai to be the Demon Lord's brand new general because you know basic accounting skills. I'm like, oh. Like, okay. Like that can be kind of annoying because what happens there is it's, oh hey, you are super cool and amazing and you do a bunch of things and everything is great and it's awesome. It's like, please shut up. Please stop talking. Like that's one thing I do notice quite a bit. It can be a lot of that. Yeah, this like a magic would probably be like one of the more complicated parts, but like, yeah, a lot of these things are like, yeah, you take less damage, and like a lot of these we can treat as like feats, or hey, you have these things. That's fine. That's pretty easy. That's pretty easy to understand. You get some funny ones, mind you. Where it's like, hey, if you do necromancy, you can get touched by do damage to magical attacks. But like a lot of these things we can kind of stick on there by themselves. That's kind of the idea there. I think it could work making of this would not be difficult. It would just be that initial piece of math that would be hard. That initial math, this is just because that's what everything is going to be based around. If you are within the margin, if you are within X amount, you're going to roll 3. If you are within this, you're going to do this. Like, that's my only fear with this, like, really simple math. Is that I would effectively have to do plus or minus certain amounts. Like, if you are within 3, it would be 3, 6, 9, or 12. Like, if you have 3 more than this, you would do this. If you have 6 more than this, you would do this. And it's like, hey, if you try to dodge someone with this amount of fight, this would happen. That's what I would feel like I would have to do, or do like 2, 4, 6, 8. But like, I'm slightly scared someone would scale out of hand and would just not either A, have no defense and die in a single hit from literally anything, or B, they would super guard and never be able to die. And since they have super guard and never be able to ever die ever, it would just be kind of frustrating to fight them. And I would run into, ironically, the part of the game that's would make that I, kind of like talking about critique-wise. It's funny how much of the game, my things with the games that can be a little bit complicated kind of boil over into this. Especially, that's why I kind of harped on the scaling a little bit. Scaling is very important in this. That's why I was trying to find, like, where's this ideal number when it comes to things, because it's all going to be based off of this this derived chart here. You know, to kind of give you an idea, if we were doing it, if I were to make a character sheet for this, this would go on the character sheet. It's that important. This is the game. Like, so yeah, that's why I'm like, yeah, that's kind of my basic idea for the Bastard Bonds RPG. Nothing much really more to say. I know what the setting would be. Like, that's kind of one note I could kind of say. For realsies, I can put this in pretty easily, because like setting wise, it would be 499 years after the conquest. That would be kind of the idea. Like, it is a year before it's about a year before the Demon Lord takes Lukat back under control. That's kind of the idea. It's like, hey, we are advancing, we are doing this, things have changed, but the world, like, Lukat is clearly unraveling. Lukat has clearly unraveled. You know, the kingdom, the once prosperous, super awesome kingdom of awesomeness is clearly not doing anything. Does that mean I can't do Bastard Bonds in space? In theory, if the system works properly, yeah, you can just do Bastard Bonds in space. There's nothing really stopping you. You would just need to have the magic. That would be... Because the funny thing is, like, the magic is probably one of the more... How do I... Like, two flies, like, obsessing over my garbage can over here. I might take my go. But, effectively what you would need to do is... Nothing would really change if you want to play just Bastard Bonds in space. The system is simple enough that you can do that. The only issue would be, one, magic, or you would need to recontextualize the magic tree. Which, generally speaking, it wouldn't be that difficult to just recontextualize it. It's just the have to. That would be. But yeah, that's it. That's the unofficial Bastard Bonds TRPG idea. Don't really have anything else because I've got a bunch of other stuff to work on. That's also my detox on Bastard Bonds. So I hope you all enjoyed the Bastard Bonds experience. It's 10 episodes now. And that was that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Why are you... Hi, Mom. But, yes, generally speaking, the current state of being, we are, if I go over here, I need to do the map. That's the only reason why the blue archive notes are still here, so just to remind myself to do the map. Alona is coming along. Tomorrow we're going to be working on magic. Unironically, Cole's own game gave me the idea of how to fix the magic system pretty fucking easily, so that's going to make my life a lot easier. Good job, Cole. So you have fixed your own problem. But as you can kind of see here, we've got a lot of notes here. Let's if I want to scare myself, I can't scare myself again. Unfortunately, I cannot scare myself any longer. Sorry, everyone. Dicks. There's gonna be a Bastard Bonds system. Yeah, I could do it. Like, that's the idea. Like, I could do a Bastard Bonds game pretty easily. It's just doing this math that would be the hard part, and like, where do you compromise on it? Like, right now, we just have a lot of games that need to get done. Because the current... Actually, what I should do is... We were fixed up... I didn't really do anything else. We're not going to worry about that. Hello phone. My mom is sending me Instagram videos, even though I've told her repeatedly I can't open Instagram videos because I don't have an Instagram account. because I am not the 21st century man. It's right now, what we need to do is we need to do the Alona game. The next game on the list is Caps. Caps is going to be either really easy or really complicated. There really isn't any in between for that one. It kind of depends on how bad things look with it. After that, we have to work for a game for Isaac, or technically he goes by Burnt Jester now, I think. We're doing a game for him. That one's going to be a little bit weird because I effectively need to completely rewrite another game I already wrote. But I just need to write it for him and make it more D6 dice pool based, so that'll be interesting to do. But yeah, we're doing good time. Tomorrow we're going to be working on Alona some more for the magic system. Hopefully we finish Alona this week. That's the plan anyway, to finish Alona this week. But that's also, short stream today. Yeah, I started a little bit late. That's kind of the issue. I kind of started a little bit late. I said I would do this. So I was going to do it, but it's like, I kind of got delayed on a bunch of things, so I'm like, I should do it. I don't want to say something and say I didn't do it, so that, and I'm on fucking fire in my house, apparently. It's just very hot all of a sudden, so I need to turn on the air, and the air is very loud. So I'm going to call that there. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all have some good times. If you need to get me to say anything, talk to me on Discord. I'm right over there. If you have any further questions, comments, or concerns, probably tomorrow the fatal case will be up. I meant to get that up today, but again, there was just a lot of things going on today, so that kind of slowed me down. And you want to know what happens when things get slowed down? Things get messy, and I forget things. So it is what it is. So, Godspeed, good luck.